Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 168 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets, and as soon as I can find it, we'll get the slides going. Today's beginner's lesson is about staying connected while traveling abroad with our guest Ron Brown, but first, Chris has a quick tip. What do you have there, Chris?
Using search in Google Photos and finding that one special photo. I think this is probably the most special feature of Google Photos, and we've shown it a lot, but it bears repeating. I saw a message the other day that there was a contest looking for silhouette pictures. And you could submit any of your pictures you thought might win a contest if it was a silhouette. So I thought, gee, that would be interesting. I wonder if Google Photos can find any silhouettes that I've taken. Let me show you. So here we are in Google Photos. I'm on my Android, my Samsung, but this works exactly the same on an iPhone. You just tap under search, and the hardest part is spelling silhouette. Oh, and I've done it before, so it shows up. And look at that. Pretty cool. We are seeing silhouette pictures that look like silhouettes. I especially like that one. That one might be worth. But then I look all the way through this, and I remember a picture I took that was a cool silhouette. I really remember this. And it was of people at the beach jumping, and it had kind of a sunset sky behind them. And I look all the way through this, and it's not here. I don't know why it doesn't see that that's a silhouette when it finds all these others. But how about I have to get creative then? And it was people jumping. People jumping. There it is. There is the picture that I was looking for. And this is out of 60,000 pictures that it finds these. But then one other thing. Let's say I want to be sure I find this next time without searching too much. And I can notice in the description, and I see the description just by swiping up on there, jump for joy. So maybe next time, if I remember, I can just type jump for joy. And it pulls it right up for that too. So that's just a couple of different examples of using search in Google Photos.
Well, cool. I don't see any question, but I do see quite a few people in here. Gary and Warren and Bill and Karen. GT. Must be somebody you know. He's asking what happened to your brown hair. Well. There's Ron. Okay.
So we're real happy today to have a guest with us, but we usually start off with where we are.
Okay. Well, do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPhone and your Android tablets? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks, also known as propeller heads. Geeks who teach, and we think that lifelong learning should be normal with all of us, and the best way to learn something new is in bite-sized pieces on a regular basis. So that's why we do this show, and you'll find all of our material collected on our website at geeksontour.com.
All right, so Chris, where are we now?
We're home. We're going to be home most of the summer, which is weird for South Florida. Usually you go away in the summer, but we like it here any time of year.
We sure do.
And that's a view along our morning walk.
Okay, so are we ready for our beginner's lesson? Staying connected while traveling abroad. And I'll bring in our guest speaker today, Ron. How you doing today?
Great.
Cool.
There was one slide on him, just to remind us what to say about our good friend Ron. He's another teacher, a technology teacher, a retired technologist. Actually, you're also a retired physician, right, Ron? Yeah, but he is also a world traveler. Now we teach. This is a popular topic amongst our learners. And Ron is going to give us an international perspective. You'll find Ron during the wintertime in Mesa, Arizona, and the summertime now he's up where that marker is near Vancouver in Canada, on Vancouver Island. And one of these days, we have got to come visit you. I love Vancouver Island.
I have a big driveway for you.
All right. We don't need a very big one anymore, Got that little rig. But he also travels the world. You have family in Australia and China? How did that happen?
I don't know. They've big family in Adelaide, Australia, and my daughter and her husband and grandson are in Beijing, China. They're actually here for the summer, but we spend a lot of time traveling between Mesa, Adelaide, and China.
Wow, that pretty much covers the world there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you want to say anything else to introduce yourself? How would people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Well, you can give me. I guess my email address will be at the last slide. I think I put it on the last slide. Just email me. That'd be fine.
Okay.
Sure.
And also, you do a lot of teaching for APCUG. What is that?
Right. That's the Association of Personal Computer User Group, and I'm a guest speaker with that. So I do talks around the world with them in different technology topics. So they're all on YouTube. So if you just Google or search YouTube for APCUG, you'll see all the presentations I've done.
Great. Yes, I have watched several of them.
I have a whole bunch of new ones coming up, which should be fun.
All right. Well, we're just going to turn it over to you for the bulk of the presentation here, and then we'll be back at the end and have a little discussion.
All right.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. It looks good. Looks right good. Ahead.
All right, so we'll start. The topic today is staying connected while you travel. And before you'll see Celebrity cruise ships. This is their internet cafe. You'll see Norwegian cruise ships and Princess. My wife and I really don't like to travel by air very much, so we do a lot of cruising to our different destinations. And as we cruise in different cruise lines, we always want to stay connected. So why stay connected? Hold on a sec here. So there we go. All right, why stay connected? Certainly changing attitudes now. We have security. When we travel, we use our iPhones to get location and look for help. We have of course, we know that staying connected is an information highway. When you're traveling for extended periods of time, sometimes you need your investment advisor to put some more money in your account. So you need to stay connected. Healthcare, whether you're wearing wearable devices or staying connected with your healthcare provider, is another reason for you to stay connected. Then, of course, there's the social reasons and the dreaded Facebook addiction, right? Now, cell phones are amazing because no matter where you travel in the world, you can just turn them on. It will, and you'll see, obviously, this is in France, and this person's taking a picture with their cell phone. Now, you need to do a little planning if you're going traveling, because even though these things work all over the world, you just turn them on and they'll work. When you get home, you may find your first cell phone bill and you're going to look like this. And that's because of roaming charges. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's the best way to travel and actually be able to use data with the cheapest way to do that, because it can be very costly. And as you see here on this phone, you'll see the little R beside the connection indicating a roaming charge. And this indeed can add up to quite a bit of money. So we're going to look at some options. Now in the United States, this is the service that I have, and Chris and Jim have this as well. This is called Google Fi. Google Fi is really, really a great service for travelers internationally because it connects to 210 different countries. It's called an MNVO, which is a mobile network virtual operator, in that it runs on the back of T-Mobile, Sprint, and US Cellular. The nice thing about Google Fi is that you can simply go in any of these 210 countries, it automatically connects you, and there are no roaming charges. Now, the nice thing about Google Fi is over the past, it used to be very restrictive. It was called Project Fi originally, but it was very restrictive. And now it's pretty much opened up to all phones. They'll send you a SIM card, as you see here, and pretty much even iPhones now can use Google Fi. And if you're going to travel, I'd certainly urge you or recommend that you have a look at Google Fi. I think it's an excellent plan. The next one is, of course, T-Mobile. T-Mobile offers, again, in 210 countries, unlimited, very easy to connect, and it's excellent service as well. So T-Mobile and Google Fi are the two of the big carriers that I would recommend. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that when you're traveling internationally, one of the ways in which you can get very cheap service is by buying local SIM cards. And I wanted just to talk to everybody about what is a SIM card. If you see in the diagram here, you'll see there are different sizes of SIM cards. And most of them now are the very tiny ones called the nano SIMs. And we're going to talk about eSIMs, which is this one here, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. What is a SIM card? A SIM card actually contains the software for the carrier that you're using. So if you have a T-Mobile account, then you'll have a T-Mobile SIM card. And with that SIM card is associated with your phone number. So, and these SIM cards go into your cell phone. And if you look at the cell phone example here, the gate is open and you would put a SIM card in here. Now, as you travel around into different countries, you can purchase SIM cards in the countries that you're going to visit. And this is often a very cheap way of using your phone. Just a few tips. They're often cheaper in local shops than at the airport. You have to remember when you purchase a SIM card that it's generally only good for that country. Remember that the new SIM card that you purchase will have a phone number associated with it. So that is something that your old phone number won't work. It's a pay-as-you-go system. And when you take your T-Mobile or your AT&T SIM card out, your home phone number will be inactive. We're going to talk about don't lose your home SIM card because it's hard to get it back. And again, these are common in other countries. I want you to look at this picture here in the lower right. A lot of you have never opened the gate where your SIM card is held. In fact, I find most people, particularly in the United States who haven't traveled, have never ever even seen the SIM card or taken their SIM card out, because largely there's big national companies and there would be no reason to do it. But if you look at many cell phones now, when you open the gate, you'll actually see there are 2 SIM card slots. Most of the phones produced today, or a good number of them, will have dual SIM card slots. I wanted just to point that out to everybody because there are some big advantages in using this. You can actually put 2 SIM cards in a cell phone, and you can have 2 services. Why would you want this? Well, maybe you're a real estate agent, maybe you're a construction manager doing a large project in a rural area, or you could just be a farmer doing tilling the land in a very large area, and you need to keep in contact. So you could have an AT&T and T-Mobile SIM card in this particular phone, and you could have two different services available to you. You can't have them as the same service, but you can have you can choose either one, and this makes for a lot of better connection in certain areas. Now, some tips on if you want to change your SIM card and put a local SIM card in. The first thing that I would recommend is that when you travel, you take a flashlight with you, because most of the places I travel, I have a hard time seeing. Usually I find in guest houses and places like that you need more light. And so take a flashlight. These things, particularly the nano SIMs, are extremely small. So take a magnifying glass. It's a lot easier to see what you're doing. Now, to get this gate open, you need a little device like this that pokes in the side of your phone, and the gate comes open. Some of the older phones, you needed to take the back off, but most of them just have a gate that opens. Well, if you don't have this little device, you can't get the gate open. Now, this probably came with your phone, but you've probably lost it and don't know where it is. Sometimes a paper clip will work, but sometimes a paper clip is too big. So you really have to check this out before you leave. And I always like to take some tweezers as well, because it's hard to pick these little nano SIMs up. So that's important. Now, when you take your old SIM card out, once you get to your room, you've put your new card in, you've taken your old one out, where are you going to put your trusted AT&T SIM card? Well, you can actually purchase on Amazon. This is an example. This is holders where you can put your SIM cards. I think this one's $10, or you can choose one like this. And this is, I think, $5. And these are where you can put and hold your old SIM card. I'm sort of a cheap guy, so I just like to, I take an old pill bottle and I put my SIM card in the pill bottle. I wanted to talk a bit about eSIMs, because this is really the future. You'll find that all your iPhone 10s and better will have eSIMs in them. And eSIM is not a physical SIM, but it's a virtual SIM that's on the motherboard. It's an electronic SIM in there. And prior to leaving Mesa about 4 months ago, Verizon announced that they would allow eSIMs to be used in iPhones. So what would happen here is if you had an iPhone and had an AT&T physical SIM in your phone and you wanted to switch to Verizon, you could just download the Verizon app. It would set up your Verizon account, assign a phone number, and do everything virtually over the network. So you would not need to actually go to a Verizon store. It would all be done through the eSIM. And this is what it would look like on your iPhone. You would actually have two carriers operational until you turned off or took out the physical AT&T card. You would actually have two operational phone numbers on your phone. Whereas if you had two physical SIMs, you'd have to switch between one or the other. But in this particular scenario that I'm telling you, you would actually have two incoming phone numbers and two outgoing phone numbers on your iPhone. Now, this is eSIMs will become the standard. This is a graph that's showing you the growth of eSIMs, and you're going to see this as a big, most phones will have this in the future. So now when you travel, you can either use a local SIM card from the country that you're going to. You can use international plans with your cell phone provider, or you can use both with an eSIM. Now, this is a picture of the Pacific Ocean. It's certainly a big body of water. I've been over this many times. This particular trip, we're heading to Australia. We're now have done 5 days from Vancouver to Honolulu. And the next stage of our trip is 5 days all across the Pacific Ocean, down to a little place called the Samoa, and Apia is the capital. Now, let me just tell you, I've done a lot of extended cruising. And this particular stretch of water, you don't see anything. You don't see other ships. You don't see birds. You don't see any marine life. You just see water. And people get a little weird after 5 days not seeing land. So when you come down here and you see these two little islands, you really say land ho. You really do. It's sort of a weird situation. And you're going to find that these two little islands, after all this water, wow, did they ever do some good job navigating? And we're going to stop at Apia, which is here. And this is the harbor that the cruise ship is coming into. And this is MS Nordam docked, and this is us getting off in Apia. Now, this is in these two little beautiful islands in the Pacific Ocean called Samoa. Now, when we got there, we got off and there was a band playing and they were very nice. We actually went into town and there was not well, it's a small city. There was not a soul there, not anybody in the city. It was completely deserted. This was their national holiday. They had all gone to their homes, and it was a day off for everybody. And here I wanted to come, and I was writing a technical article. I wanted to talk to people about costs of data in Samoa. And of course, nobody's there. All the businesses are closed. So this is, I did take a picture though. This is a company called Digicel. It provides the data in Samoa. And so if you do the math, and I'll do the math for you, the cost, so if you wanted to go to Samoa, beautiful two islands, and spend a month there, the cost of putting a SIM card in there would be about the third of what you would pay in the United States. So very, very economical. Bring your phone down here, just pop a SIM card in, and you'll get very cheap service in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Now, those of you who have been to Australia recognize Coles. Coles is the major grocery store in Australia. Now, this is, my daughter actually is in buying the groceries tonight. All those years I raised her, I bought the groceries. It's sort of fun going to visit her. She has to buy the groceries, right? So as I'm standing to take out at checkout, these are the cost of data in Australia. Now, in the United States, it's about $10 a gigabyte. As you can see here, it's about $1 a gigabyte for the data cards there. Now, if you look at the sale flyer, you'll actually see that this was a $30. This included 30 gigabytes of data, and it was on sale for $10. Now that works out to about 30 cents a gigabyte versus $10. So in Australia, mobile data is extremely cheap, very, very, very cheap. So if you're planning on going to Australia, this is certainly a country where buying a SIM card and putting it in your phone is going to give you extremely cheap data. Oh, here's my two grandchildren. How did they get in there? Sorry about that. Now, traveling by land. These are the various ways that we can travel around the country. Has anybody done any camel tours? I haven't done a camel tour yet. So when you're traveling around on land, one of the things you want to know is, where am I? And I'm not going to talk about all the GPS features on your phone, but you should remember that your phone has a very good GPS feature that will tell you where your latitude and your longitude is. Now, most of you know that GPS stands for Global Positioning Satellite, but this is actually a proprietary term used by the US military, who launched these satellites about 30 years ago. Most of us use it as a very generic term, but in fact, there are many types of GPS systems. China has their own called the Compass. Europe has their own called Galileo. India has Arnus, and Japan has, of course, this one. Now, this is going to change a lot in the next 5 years, because the United States has just launched a new series of GPS satellites called GPS-3, and these are going to be able to talk to all these other services. So we're going to see some big changes, I think, in the GPS features on our phone in the next few years, and I'm sort of excited about that. And remember that the GPS feature on your phone does not need any data. It's simply a radio signal coming from above, and it's giving you your latitude and longitude. So you don't need to be connected to the internet. Oops. Okay, air travel. Of course, you know that all airplanes have Wi-Fi on board. You'll see this is a picture of a 737, and you'll see this little dome here is the Wi-Fi signal. So again, you can get Wi-Fi on most airplanes now. Now, travel by sea. This is my fun part. And you'll see here, you'll see a ship in the middle of the ocean. Now, if I asked Jim on the other line there, if I asked Jim, I said, Jim, where would this ship get its internet signal from? And Jim would, of course, say, well, Ron, look on the left side of the slide. That's the receiver on the ship. It's getting its internet from the Hughes satellite. And Jim would be partly right. Because the interesting thing about cruise ships is passenger ships actually don't travel in the middle of the ocean. They actually don't go that far away from land. This is a site that tracks all cruise ship passages, and you'll see that there are the areas. Of course, there's the West Coast, the Alaska group. There's the Caribbean group. There's the Mediterranean and Europe. But all these ships generally. There's 7 to 10 day cruises. They frequently go into ports. And so passenger ships stay actually fairly close to land. Now, those of you who have done cruising will you choose your cruise ship probably based on service, maybe where the cruise ship wants to go, maybe based on great food. But more and more people want to stay connected. So there is intense competition now with cruise ships on providing extremely fast internet. This is definitely a marketing and selling feature, and you'll find even in the advertising now of Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Lines, you'll find that they're marketing this in a fast internet is a big feature. Now, one of the things that's sort of interesting is that if you look at internet provided to ships, if you look at the satellite connection, there's a problem with latency. Because the satellites are so high up in the sky, it takes time for the signal to go up to the satellite, back down to the land-based system, and back form. And this is called latency. And it is a huge problem with satellites. And no matter how good the system is, there's always a latency problem. For that reason, companies have provided what we call terrestrial broadband. And you can see these green dots along here, and these are all land-based high-frequency antennas that point to the ocean, in which ships connect not through satellite, but they connect through to the land-based high-frequency receivers and get their internet not from satellite, but they get it from what we call terrestrial broadband. And these sites are all over the world. Think of them as a cell tower on steroids. And these are the ships that use this system, and this is called terrestrial broadband. So most ships will get their signals from not only satellite, but mostly they'll get it from terrestrial broadband broadcast from land-based systems, because that gives them less latency. Now, many of you want to go on cruises and you want to leave your smartphone at home. You say, look, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be involved with the office. I just want to go and enjoy my 10-day vacation. And you don't take your smartphone. I'm going to advise you against that, because most ships now communicate once you get on the ship through their intranet. And this is an example on Noordam, the ship I was just off of when we went to Australia. As soon as I got on the ship, I logged into my account, and you'll see what's happening on board. I can book tours. I can actually use the internet, I can book my dining, I can check my account and see what my itinerary is. And in the old days, they used to, I remember on Princess Lines, it was called Princess Patter, and they used to give you little physical pieces of paper each day to tell you what's going on. But in the larger ships now, with over 6,000 people on them, it's all just done through the intranet. If you want to book shows, you want to book dinners at any of the dining places, then it's all done through their intranet. So you should take your phone with you because it's a communication tool on the ship. Now, lastly, before we wind up, I want to talk about changing technology in space. This is a new system that is being implemented called OB3 satellites. And these are 7 satellites that have been placed around the Earth's orbit. And what happens is that in the example I gave you where we were in the South Pacific Sea, the ship travels along and the receiver adjusts its position to connect to the satellite. So as the ship travels, the receiver is adjusting the position. This is the reverse. This is where the satellites in this particular company can track 30,000 points. And what happens is this is where the satellite follows the ship and sends a very focused beam. In other words, the satellite is following the ship and is providing a very focused, high-intensity beam of internet to that ship so it can give very fast internet with this system. And so there would be 30,000 devices that this particular company at one time can follow as these devices go around, as these objects go around the world. And this allows for much faster internet. And the last slide, and I would like everyone's comments on this, is what if you looked up on the sky and you saw this, what would you be seeing? And Jim, I asked Jim the other day, and he got this. This, of course, 2 weeks ago, SpaceX launched their 40 Starlink satellites into space. You can see this now through the naked eye as you look up in the sky. And these are, of course, part of a 4,000 satellite system to provide a global internet to the world. And he's already started that now. So that's it. I'm open to questions.
And there I see your email there if anybody wants to get in touch with you. And if they happen to be in Mesa, Arizona in the winter, can they join the Silvercom
Sure.
Club? Yeah,
Sure.
That's
Sure.
great. Well, several things. Actually, you give me hope about cruise ships. I mean, we've always thought that teaching the stuff that we teach would be great for the lots of retired folks on cruise ships, but most everything we teach really needs an internet connection. And our last experiences on cruise ship was the internet was both too expensive and too slow to be worthwhile. But that's changing, huh?
I don't think, I would say that I suspect that was 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, in the last couple of years, 4 years ago, we did our first trip to Australia on Nordam, Holland America's Nordam. And, the internet wasn't that fast and it was expensive. And 2 years later, when we repeated the same trip, all changed, all new technology. It was fast. It wasn't that expensive. I mean, there's always going to be a cost to it. It'll never be free. Although I guess some cruise ships offer it as part of their package, so it's an enticement to go with them. But Royal Caribbean with their, I think it's called Zoom or Voom. I can't remember. Voom, I think it is called, their new high-speed internet. And it's as fast as, as a land-based system. They're really, really very fast.
Well, we're going to have to check it out. We got to go on a cruise.
Yeah.
It's a business expense, right? It's
right.
research.
Go ahead and stop sharing, Ron.
Stop sharing? Okay.
Yeah. And if you're done with this slideshow, yeah.
Yeah, there you
cool.
go.
All right. We do have a question.
Pardon
Are there better connections using tablets versus phones on cruise ships intranet?
Wouldn't make a difference. I don't think it's the same. Doesn't matter whether it's a tablet or a phone. It would be no different.
Because you would just be connecting to a Wi-Fi, right?
Sure.
A Wi-Fi on the ship that is only giving you access to other systems within the ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make, and lots of people use tablets. Lots of people take tablets with them, so it wouldn't be a problem. I don't think it would make any difference.
Now I have a couple of things I want to you gave me thoughts on under this.
Okay.
So here's my little cache of SIM cards. Some of them, I have some temporary AT&T ones and an old Verizon one because I'm now using and a T-Mobile one in here, and then a couple that are from Europe. So if we would go back to Europe, I could get this one. That's a 3. And I take out my other SIM and put this one in, and then what?
Well, it may or may not work. I mean, SIM cards basically are free. I wouldn't think there would be any advantage in using your old SIM card. It probably wouldn't work. I mean, you probably want to just buy a new SIM card at the local store or buy it wherever you want, and it'll have a phone number attached with it and a new service. I mean, the service has changed so fast that I doubt a year after that. Maybe the SIM card would work, maybe it wouldn't. You'd certainly have to activate. See, most of these are prepaid as well, right? So when you go and you buy them, they're prepaid. If you put that SIM card in and you try to connect to a service, then you'd have to put your credit card in or somehow buy time on that system, right? Whereas the way most of the time it works is you buy it and it's prepaid, right? And then you put it in, and you buy it and it's prepaid. So SIM cards are basically, there's no point in, I don't think there's any point in
keeping old ones once you leave the country. Now, if you're going through Europe, so for example, we went to Italy and Croatia and Germany, and if we went from Italy to Croatia and then back to Italy, if we had gotten a SIM card in Italy and switched to a Croatian one, then when we came back to Italy, I'd want to switch back. Yeah. The other thing, while you were talking about the double, I realized I had never opened the SIM card tray on my Samsung Note 9 here. So I did it, and first of all, I do have a couple of these little tools that come with SIM card, but I have learned if there's an advantage to being a lady, the post from an earring works.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Post from an earring works fine. You just have to find the place where there is the hole.
You have 2 slots?
You push it in. Come on. It's not always, doesn't always cooperate great. Right? Well, that's sticking.
Maybe earrings don't work.
Well, it does that.
No, they definitely work. I've used them before.
That one has a little stickiness to it. Since I have the good tool, I will use it. You push and it pops out. And yes, this one has 2 slots. I didn't even realize that.
Right. So you can have 2 SIM cards in there, and you could have AT&T and T-Mobile, right?
Yeah.
And so you could switch between different. You could switch between one or the other depending what was your better service.
Now, what about the fact, though, that slot is bigger than that card?
Oh, well, that's because the card you've got the wrong size card. You've got the large, you need the nano, you need the smaller card. And and the company would send you, on the new ones that you buy, you can cut them out.
Right.
So,
and then aren't there little adapters where even if all you do have is a little one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it looks like, and then you just
just put it. Now you
pop
want to
it
make
back
sure
in.
that is a SIM. The other thing is you want to make sure that's a SIM card slot and not
an SD.
Slot.
Yeah.
An SD card slot, right?
Yeah, that looks more like an SD card, doesn't it?
it might be an S, but sometimes it looks like, I can't quite tell, but it looks like there might be a nano SD, a nano SIM on there, and then there's also a slot for a memory card. It looks like there might be 2 slots on that end, but most phones will have 2. You can put two physical SIM cards in them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, newer ones.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't talk about much is just the Wi-Fi. When we were in Australia, we used the Wi-Fi in the hotels most of the time. And it was
very good.
Most of it was pretty good, but they all had some ingenious ways to limit you. They had a certain number of gigabytes per day, or the one account, or they gave you an ID card at the check-in counter, when you registered at the hotel, and it gave you so much, and then you had to get it again the next day. Lots of different techniques to limit you. So I still liked having our own, which we had because of the Google Fi.
Well, yeah, and that works well. But as you saw how cheap it is there. I mean, 30 gigabytes of data for $10. I mean, that's really cheap.
Yeah. We were only in Australia for 1 week. We did take advantage of the cellular when we rented an RV in New Zealand. They $10 a day gave us unlimited cellular data in the RV with a Wi-Fi hotspot. That was great. Okay.
There was another question. Would giving the SIM card to someone local, like a daughter, would that give them the rest of the prepaid time?
Absolutely, sure. I mean, you can swap SIM cards. That doesn't matter. So if you had a SIM card and you had some time on it, just put it in another phone. It'll work fine.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
All right. Nope, we're good.
Okay. Well, I guess we can skip on over to the end of that. We really appreciate you having you come on with us again, Ron. We'll do this again. Ron is a big proponent of Chromebooks, so we chat occasionally about that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we should do some Chromebook stuff. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but all that stuff is good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. No more questions. Okay, a little bit of issue with the audio, and I think I know what that issue was, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right. Well, we do invite you to become a member at geeksontour.com. Just go to our website and click on Become a Member. See our website, geeksontour.com. Click on the weekly class menu. Scroll down to see all of the archives. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on that little bell to get notifications. Well,
I think let's just
did you have it?
Skip to review.
Okay. Did you learn something? The removable card that assigns a phone number to your device and connects it to a service provider is called what? An SD card, a SIM card, a Wi-Fi card, or a cell service card?
It's called a SIM card.
Now that I understand, that stands for Subscriber Information Module, I think.
Yeah.
Subscriber information. So it's what connects you to the cell company.
There are 2 cellular service providers that work overseas with no extra charge. And they are A, T-Mobile, B, Verizon, C, AT&T, or D, Google Fi. 2 of those.
It would be T-Mobile and Google Fi.
Cool. You may not be able to connect your phone to the internet while on a cruise ship, but you will need your phone to A, take pictures, B, sign up for onboard entertainment, C, music, D, Facebook.
Well, you need it to sign up for onboard entertainment. You can probably take pictures with it as well, but for sure you'll need it to sign up for onboard entertainment.
True or false? Cell service in countries outside the U.S. are always more expensive.
That's false.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be very cheap.
That's been our experience. And true or false? If you have an old SIM card from a country, just put it in your phone and you'll have service in that country.
Probably not true. Probably not true. It's not going to work.
Well, because it's probably out of data.
Yeah, you probably have to, because even if it's a prepaid, it runs out in a certain amount of time, right?
Sure.
So you have to top it off, is what we heard it called most often.
Okay. Well, that's about it. Are we going to do a member meetup?
Not this week.
Okay.
And I didn't put it in there, but next week is our 5-year anniversary.
That's right. 5 years. We started this
Congratulations.
on the 29th. Thank you. On June 29th. 5 years
So
ago.
we haven't thought of what we're going to do, but I think we should do something special. Maybe a bloopers or something.
We have plenty of those.
Yeah, but most of them are when the sound doesn't work, so it would be a silent show.
Why don't you do it from a cruise ship?
Oh, now that's a great idea.
Yeah, you think we can
You're
get a
down in
cruise ship
Florida
with all
where they
that
all
stuff?
leave from. You could just hop on a cruise ship for a week and do the show from a cruise ship.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
We're right here at the port. Shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
Port
Yeah.
Everglades is 15 minutes away.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Well, that's pretty much it for this. Well, Chris, why do people pay $58 a year to join Geeks on Tour?
Our member benefits are that you get to ask us questions on the Q&A page. There's hundreds of tutorial videos, learning guides, and ebooks. You get the written show notes from these button shows. And some people join even though they don't use the member benefits, just to say thank you for all the stuff we give for free. We think that's nice.
That's
Thank
real
you.
Nice, thank you. All right, well, that's it for this week. I'm Jim,
I'm Chris.
and that's Ron over there.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time on What Does This Button Do? Okay? What does this button do? Don't
Just
touch that
keep
button.
pushing those buttons. That's the way you learn.
Is that the way I learn?
Yep. Oh, yeah. You have a lot more buttons there.
Hey, Jim here. If you enjoyed that video, give it a thumbs up down there. And don't forget to subscribe.